Otherwise, I encourage anybody to re-upload it if they feel like it. So, there is once again another situation where a YouTuber has been caught being rather disturbing with younger girls, and by younger girls I mean minors, as well as other people. This YouTuber is I Must Destroy All. The difference between I Must Destroy All and Onision, and what makes this situation worse than Onision, is even though we can all see through Onision's slimy grin and his alibis, he at least has an alibi. He at least has the story saying, oh, they're just for my videos, oh, you know, whatever. Not saying that that's good, not saying that that's anything commendable by any means, but this person, for one, is being silent about it, and is being a coward, not saying absolutely anything at all, trying to let the storm blow over. And number two, he didn't just say, oh, well, you can send me your pictures and I'll put them in a video, and that's all my purpose is going to be using it for. He has legitimately asked, personally asked, underage girls and other women for solicited photos, such as photos of people's asses and other inappropriate things.
3, 2, 1.
He personally asked for them and has done so for what appears to be no other reason than a sexual manner. And there's a bunch of videos that I'm going to be sharing in the description below, as well as the evidence of this, and videos explaining that, or proving that this evidence is legitimate. Now, if that isn't good enough, I'm also going to be telling you my own experience with this person. And this is where I have to be a little bit careful, because I don't want to give away too much information, and I don't want to give away anything that might get this video flagged. I will get off the bat, that he never asked me for any inappropriate photos. He never did anything inappropriate like that. But he has made me feel pretty uncomfortable. And at the time, I was extremely too nice about it. And too forgiving, because I considered this person to be a friend of mine. So anytime he would try to do anything creepy or try to be flirtatious, I would either try to ignore it, dismiss it, or change the subject. And doing so, he never really got the hint about it. And there have been moments that sound very, very similar to the way he had talked to these other girls. Now again, he didn't ask me for any inappropriate photos, but the manipulative, pushy language that he used with those other girls, he is overage or underage, he has been the same exact way when talking to me and a few other people. Now, I'm not going to show the pictures or screen caps in this video, because again, I don't want this video to be flagged, but I can assure you that I have evidence of this, and I can assure you that this particular person is rather quite manipulative with the way his words go, with the way he talks to people. And as days and days go on, where he's just nothing but silent about these actions, especially now that he's been exposed to it, it's getting worse and worse and worse. More and more people are talking about their issues, more and more people are showing evidence of what he has said to them, and by no means am I trying to say that my situation with him was anything as significant as theirs, because really, to me, it isn't nearly as serious. But I will say that yes, I believe it, because he has personally talked to me with the same manipulative, pushy language as shown in these screen caps. He has not only said creepy, flirtatious things, to which I tried to deflect, he has also tried to... When I considered him a friend at one point, I went through an issue with my boyfriend, and he knew this entire time when he was creep on me and stuff, that I had a boyfriend. It didn't matter, I guess. But my boyfriend and I have been dating for almost 6 years. Next month we'll be 6 years. And at one point, we ran into some trouble, and then to a couple friends, I was trying to get some advice, and Must Destroy All was one of those people. Not even if he had said, oh, well, I feel like you should break up with this person because they're really toxic or something like that, or whatever, trying to give helpful advice. This person goes and says something along the lines of, oh, well, I feel like you're going to be babysitting him. By the way, we're going to get married anyway, so, you know, like, and just really, like, uncomfortable things like that. So I ended up deleting him, and then he didn't add me back, but he messaged me over a year later, grilling me for asking me why I deleted him, but why did I still follow him on Facebook and Twitter and shit. And I basically told him that I was pretty uncomfortable, especially after talking about my relationship issues. And I said, basically, I would much rather just be a fan than a friend. It's the last time I talked to him, but the way in which he had addressed the situation, and the way he put me on the spot, and the way he was, when I tried to respond after he had called me out, he'd be very, very, very impatient, and he'd be very, very, like, oh, well, what's taking you so long to respond? I feel like you're writing me a novel, some shit like that. Really hostile. I believe the images that I saw from other people because of that experience. Now, again, I don't want to make this issue about myself, but I wanted to tell you my little experience with this person, because for somebody that is very skeptical when shit like this comes out, when scandals come out like this, for somebody that is very, very, okay, I want to see all of the evidence before I make my decision. For the first time ever, did I look at the screen caps the first time around and say, you know what, yeah, I believe it. Now again, I did, just to confirm it, do more digging and do more investigating and read all the posts and shit, and watched all the videos about it to further confirm it. But just seeing it right off the bat, I was like, yeah. That sounds like MDA. That sounds like something you would do. And again, ignoring this issue, I'm sorry I'm not going into too much detail about issues which have already been brought up in other videos with him, talking to younger girls, trying to get photos of them. That's really what the big issue here is, and I don't want to, like, try to make that casted in the dark or anything like that. I'm not trying to say those issues are less significant than the one I had. In fact, it's the opposite. I find that the issue that I had with him was significantly less serious than the ones he's been asking minors for inappropriate photos. But it just goes to show you that shit like this happens. And one more thing that I want to get out of the way is, one of the reasons why I found this to be really difficult for me to address, to him personally when I was uncomfortable about it, was because he had this way of making people feel wrong for being uncomfortable about things. And he had this way of twisting situations to put himself in this, like, kind of the same way as, like, a medium. Well, you know, well, you don't have to talk about this if you don't want to talk about it, or I didn't really do anything wrong, or anything like that. There was actually a video he made before I even became friends with him, where he made a video talking about some girl that added him on Facebook, and then they messaged each other or something, and then she deleted him, and he asked her why she deleted him, and then he added her back, she accepted the friend request, and then blocked him, and he was really, like, butthurt and, like, pissed off about it, and made a video about it, but he gave no context as to why he did it. He gave no context as to what the conversation was. He didn't show the conversation through, like, his messenger or anything. So that makes me think maybe there's a lot more people out there that has been affected by this muscular personality, and yeah. The words I have for muscular, the ones that I can come up and say in the video without getting flagged, is fucking fess up. You are caught red-handed at this point. There are tons of people out there who have made videos about you. The only thing you're doing is trying to flag them so that the truth can't get out there. But, at the same time, you're saying nothing. You're not defending yourself at all. You're getting other people to stand on the front lines for you and say, oh, these photos are photoshopped. Oh, this isn't real. They're faking it. When they have clearly been proven that they are not photoshopped. And when they have clearly been proven that you really said these things. At this point, you might as well just come out and say it. You might as well just fess up. Be the... You can't really be a bigger person, but get yourself out of the fucking muddy water at this point and at least give people the explanations that they deserve. Because honestly, at this point, a lot of people are really fucking over it and pissed off, and if authorities have actually been called, I don't know if they have been, but if they have been called, that's the only reason why I could think that he might not be saying anything. But there have also been photos saying that no, he's not going to say anything and that he just doesn't trust the people that have shared this information. Because he's the victim. That's how people like this are. That's the same with anything. That's how people like this are. They try to victim blame to get out of the situation, to try and get out of any bad reputation that they can. But at this point in time, it doesn't even seem like more than 2 people are on your side. At this point, it seems like everybody is pretty much aware of the fact that you've actually done this. And the people that are still on the front lines defending you are just at this point in denial over it, and really just look foolish trying to defend you, because there's really nothing left that they can say. It's like seeing video footage of somebody being hit by a car, and then seeing the license plate, and seeing the person in the car driving it, and then saying, oh no, that didn't happen, it was, no, that was acting. Trying to defend the person in the car, because you don't want them to get in trouble, even though the person that got hit by the car has broken legs and can't walk. So, anyway, I'm sorry for making this video too long. I wanted to get my personal experience out there because I just feel like, especially since I had made the videos about Onision, it would just be wrong of me to ignore this situation.
There appears to be some sort of conspiracy that I am between the age of 13 and 15 years old, and the amount of people who actually believe this is extremely alarming. So I guess
What we do here is go back.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man Jay Will. So yes, I brought it back. I brought back the LG G5. Why? The LG G5 was a very intriguing device when it came out earlier this year. I picked it up, reviewed it, did everything I could possibly do with it that I wanted to do, and I got rid of it. Why? Well, the battery turned out to be not the greatest for my usage after extended use, and then also the price. I paid $630 plus tax. So now that this thing has 7.0, I'm feeling it a little bit better. So I decided to bring it back once I realized that it had 7.0, and obviously I got it at a much better price than almost $700 that like I did several months back. As you can see I still have I have brand new batteries for this thing just laying around. They were brand new in the package. So I fired it up, charged it up, brought it home. It does run 7.0 now. I'm super excited to finally get this bad boy in hand. I was contemplating bringing this back or not, so I took my Honor 8 to the store with me before purchasing and compared it, and I thought, wow, this is going to be a really nice purchase. So before, when I had the G5, I was impressed with it. Go back and look at my videos and you'll see that I was extremely impressed with it. It just failed in the battery department, even though I had spare batteries laying around, and I have several of these. It just didn't do it for me for the battery. Initially it did, but then all of a sudden with extended use, I just started getting less and less battery. So another reason why I brought this back is the camera. Man, I forgot how good the cameras on the G5 were. Wow. The cameras on the G5 are really, really solid. The wide angle lens, I missed it. You've got a 16 megapixel and then an 8 megapixel on the rear there. This phone has a Snapdragon 820, has 4 gigs of RAM. Yeah, the battery is 2800, but with those in effect on this phone now, it is running like a champ. The 5.3-inch Quad HD display, this size is actually a really good size for a phone. The fingerprint is obviously integrated in the back here, and one thing I like about the LG's version of Always On is you can actually see the notifications. That is a huge plus. IR Blaster, I've actually been using it lately on my phones to my surprise. I like the overall design of this. I still have a ton of cases, tempered glasses I never got a chance to review, screen protectors, everything. I still have all those things on deck. So this phone definitely was released earlier. The body on it is good. The first one I had some warping issues around here, so I ended up exchanging it. And you know, that was the end of that. The phone worked after that. But this phone is actually pretty good. I've been using it now for a little bit. And I didn't want to do an unboxing or anything like that because I've already done that, but it is on 7.0. So software now is a lot different. I mean, this phone runs so much better with 7.0, and the battery life was greatly improved. Now I just took it off of this battery, so I wanted to show you the dose, how it went to sleep. It went to sleep. I'm hoping those are still there. Probably not. It's gone. Yeah, it's gone. I switched the battery out. But it went flatline for the 8 hours of sleep that I got. I mean, this thing was out cold, like Mike Tyson knocked it out cold. But performance on here is just as good as it was before. It actually runs really good on 7.0. But my concern was the battery, and I think I'll probably get some good battery life out of this now. So I took that first battery and ran it down. And, you know, the price point to get this phone right now, you can get it for $500 or you can get it for $200 on T-Mobile. So that is just a fantastic deal to get this for $200, and that's what I got it for $200. The speaker on here it's louder now that I haven't had it for a while. It's actually a really loud bottom firing speaker. And remember, this phone has a DAC in it, so it's going to be very powerful. I want to try the CDLA headphones that I have with this phone right here. But I've been using it for media content like I do every other phone. But the camera is what I miss the most. Oh my gosh, that wide angle lens. I didn't think I would actually miss that, but I'm actually feeling it. It's actually been really good. This phone was definitely going to come back. I told you guys a long time ago that I would bring this phone back. I just didn't know when. But I didn't know that T-Mobile would sell it for such a low price. It's actually $499 or $200 through T-Mobile, depending on your plan. But gosh, the 0 to 100 is just what I need. because I keep a lot of these battery packs laying around. And this is actually a really solid phone. It's not too big. I have a Quad HD display. I've got an SD card. The screen is really solid. Performance is really good on 7.0. I've been testing it out before doing a video. I wanted to actually test it out, and performance is actually really good, guys. I think ending out 2016, I mean, if you can grab this for under at the $200 mark like I did, or the $500 mark, I think it's with 7.0 on it. It's definitely a win for me now. And price sometimes determines whether you're going to purchase something or not. Sometimes it doesn't with me, but I was more concerned about this phone being on 7.0. And once I realized they had 7.0, I was going to buy it whether it was 500 or 200. I just happened to catch it when it was 200. So definitely you'll see some videos coming up on this. I'll probably compare it to the S7 because I didn't have the S7. I did this against the Note 5, and I actually gave the camera edge to the Note 5. But let's see what happens against the S7 and the Honor 8, and some of these other phones that I have in my catalog with really solid cameras, particularly the S7. I think I'm going to battle against the S7 first because that phone is, oh man, it is good. So it's your man Jay Will. Wow, I'm excited to have the G5 back in the house, man. So look for some videos on this thing, man. I was pumped to finally get this again, believe it or not. I don't care if it's like not at the latest specs or whatever. I mean, it has a Snapdragon 820 in it. I mean, this phone right here, if you still have this phone and you didn't give it up from the initial time of getting it, you bought it at lunch, let me know. Also, one thing I've noticed is the reception on here and the internet is completely different than some of my other phones. This reception on this phone is pixel reception, which is good. The Pixel has fantastic reception, and I found out that this phone works really good on reception, and also streaming content and stuff on here. It has turned out to be fantastic. It's been really good, man. It's a kind of a different experience from when I first bought it initially. And I don't know if it's just 7.0. I don't know if I'm just excited to have it again. But I can tell you, comparing it against some of my other phones that I've had recently here, this phone performs very well on 7.0. I got to give credit where credit is due. So back in the old school OG modular game here, the G5 is a phone that I think can still compete. Even though it was released in the first quarter of this year, I like it, man. I think it's first, second quarter, one of those. End of the first quarter, beginning of the second quarter, whichever it was released. The fact is, it's nice. I mean, the design of this thing, I kind of miss it. The dual sloping screen there, the rear-mounted fingerprint reader. You know, I like rear-mounted fingerprint readers. And another reason, here's a kind of a side note. After having the V20 in the house, get ready to shoot me in the comments. I don't care. I actually prefer this over the V20. It has that same ugly looking camera setup in the back, but this camera performs very well. I haven't had any, in testing, I haven't had any issues with this camera at all. And this is a little bit more subtle, I guess I want to say, because maybe it's the color of the phone. I don't know what it is. The size of the phone definitely helps. The design of the phone, I think, is a little bit better. Like the overall design, I like it a little bit better than the V20. I'm feeling it, man. All over again, I am feeling it. So what do you guys think? Still have a G5? Are you considering purchasing a G5? And another thing is you can get some really good deals on phones that are considered outdated already, you know? This phone, technology world, dies off fast. It dies off real fast, and you know, first adapters, people who jump on quickly, we don't get the best deals. And so that's why sometimes you'll see me get rid of a phone and 6 months later, I got it again because I got it at a great price. Or I just don't buy it at all, you know, and I try to wait for a good price. But yeah, here it is, man. The G5 is back in the house, and for such a killer price, wow, I'm pumped. And the performance, guys, 7.0 did this phone some justice. Doze is in full effect on here, reception, everything. I can't stress it enough. So I'll definitely revisit this phone, but I'm gonna match it up against the S7 probably in my next video. I don't know yet. I'm thinking of some things. You guys let me know in the comments what you want to see. You want to see me battle against the S7? What kind of videos do you want to see me do updated on this? I'll see you in the next video. Take care.
Your team approaches victory.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video with your man Jay Will. So I was able to move the LG G5 to my #1 spot. It was pretty simple. What I decided to do is use this phone as a non-reviewer, which is very difficult.
What's up guys, Chris Carlin from Android Authority here to take a closer look at what I think are the 7 best features of Android 7.0. Despite some of those other big features like split screen mode and the 72 new emoji getting all of the attention, I actually think some of the best features are the ones that are a little bit less obvious. So without further ado, let's take a look at the 7 best features of Android 7.0 Nougat. And yes, I do say Nougat. The Recent Apps Quick Switcher is without a doubt my favorite Android 7.0 feature, surprisingly enough. In terms of raw awesomeness, it's right up there with the camera shortcut that you get with the hardware button on Galaxy and Nexus phones. Once you use it, you'll wonder how you ever lived without it, and you may find yourself trying to do it on phones that don't actually support it. Quick switching is actually really easy as well. Just double tap the recent apps button to switch between your 2 most recent apps. It works in split screen mode as well, and it just saves a ton of time for anyone that's frequently hopping back and forth between a couple of apps. This is another less than jaw-dropping feature, but it's probably the one that you're going to get the most use out of in Nougat. Samsung's TouchWiz and other manufacturer skins have had a short list of quick settings toggles at the top of the notifications shade for quite some time, but until Nougat, this is the first time we've had it in stock Android. Even though you can easily pull that screen up with a 2-finger swipe, which you can also do in Nougat, having them always at the ready on top of your notifications list is way better. You can also customize their order to meet your specific needs as well. Bundled notifications also also make a whole lot of sense. I mean, why would you want individual notifications from the same app when you can group them all together? This way you can expand them all for individual attention, or you can dismiss them all at once or one at a time. Nougat's quick reply feature also means that you can respond to select notifications right from the notification shade without having to open another app. The only problem with quick reply is that it's not supported by every app just yet. Another brilliant but rather obvious Nougat feature is putting all of the most important information in the settings menu right there on the front page. So you don't need to go into a sub-menu now to see what Wi-Fi network you're connected to or if Bluetooth is connected. You can also see how much internal storage is taken up, how much of your data allowance you've used, your average RAM usage, how many apps you've got installed, and how much longer your battery is expected to last, all at a casual glance whenever you open the settings. It may not hit you in the face, but it's actually a really great idea. Oddly enough, rebooting your phone is also one of my favourite Nougat features. If you make the switch to file encryption or pick up one of the new Nexuses, which will have it by default, you can get all the way to your lock screen with a still encrypted device. This means you can pick up incoming notifications, calls, alarms and that kind of thing, but your private data is still secure. Meanwhile, by adding just-in-time compilation to Nougat's Android runtime, means your phone will reboot a lot faster without that painfully slow optimizing apps process you have to suffer through with Marshmallow. Just-in-time compilation also means that your apps can be updated faster, they require less storage, and they use less RAM. That's not bad. If you share anywhere near as many links, files and photos as I do, and you have your favourite apps for doing that, then being able to pin your favourite apps to the top of the Android share picker is a dream come true. Again, it's one of those features that would never make it onto advertising if Google ever really advertised Android in the first place, but it's one of those great little ideas that make a huge difference on the daily for anyone that uses them. Finally, I wanted to give some props to customization in Nougat. Of course, Android has always been the most customizable mobile OS, but there's always been more features available in third-party skins, custom ROMs, and third-party launchers than there has been in vanilla Android. But over the last few releases, we've seen more and more of those features getting baked into stock Android. Following on from fingerprint support, battery savers, and granular app permissions, Nougat now adds a DPI changer to switch up the size of on-screen content, lets you define how important notifications from individual apps are, lets you whitelist apps. Following on from fingerprint support, battery savers, and granular app permissions, Nougat now adds a DPI changer to switch up the size of on-screen content, lets you define how important notifications from individual apps are, lets you whitelist apps even when in Do Not Disturb mode, and even lets you cut off internet access for apps running in the background. Plus you've got customizable quick settings and a bunch of other little tweaks and options in the system UI tuner. It's an awesome amount of fine-grained control, and I absolutely love it. So there's my 7 favourite Android 7.0 features, but what are yours? Hit those comments to share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and make sure you hit that like button if you're loving Nougat and want to see more videos like this one. Till next time guys, keep it locked to Android Authority because we are your source for all things Android. Hey guys, Chris Carlin for Android Authority here to take a closer look at the brand new features in Android 7.1 Nougat. As you know, 7.1 arrived on the Google Pixel phones, but they have quite a few software features that no other phones will be getting. So today we'll be taking a look at Android 7.1 on the Nexus to see what features have filtered down and which ones we've missed out on. Now, as you no doubt will have noticed, this is just the regular Google Experience launcher. This is not the new Pixel launcher. You'll see we still have our shortcut to the app tray at the bottom there, rather than an additional app shortcut. And of course, our navigation buttons at the bottom here are of the old variety. And of course, we don't have access to the Google Assistant. We just have Screen Search, which seems to be the new name for Google Now on tap. Now perhaps the most exciting new feature in Android 7.1 on a Nexus is the presence of launcher shortcuts, which you'll also get on the Pixels. Basically you just long press on an app icon to get a contextual menu of quick shortcuts. If there's a shortcut that you particularly like or use very often, you can long press on the shortcut itself and then add a shortcut to your home screen. Now these work for a variety of apps, although at the moment it's mostly just Google apps because obviously Google is trying to impress with the new Android 7.1 feature, but as we go on, more and more developers will likely add them for their apps as well, and as you can see they also work from the app drawer. Now the next thing I want to show you is up in the quick settings area. You can see if we bring down the notification shade, we've still got the same notification setup we know from Android 7.0, but our quick settings toggles across the top have gotten a little bit more numerous. We've now got 6 instead of 5, and that's because the little caret here, the little drop down arrow that expands the quick settings tiles, has now migrated up a notch, and it is now joined on this first view by a shortcut to the settings menu. If you expand, you can still have access to your full quick settings tiles, and of course you can edit the list and add in whatever you need, including having multiple screens. Now, despite the Nexus 6P here being a Huawei device, you don't have the fancy fingerprint scanner control for the notification shade that you do get on the Pixel and on other Huawei devices. Unfortunately, it looks like Google has decided to keep that one as a exclusive for the Google Pixels. And right from the top of the list of Android features that we cannot believe it took this long to finally make it is the addition of a restart button to the power off menu. May have taken forever, but I'm just glad it's here. If we jump on into the settings, you'll see a few other changes here. Nothing much has changed in the general look, but we now have a 2-tab view up the top here, so everything on the left, and a support tab on the right, which we also have in the Pixels. Now you'll be able to launch a chat straight away or request a phone call at any time of the day from Google to answer any questions you may have about your Nexus or Android 7.1 Nougat. A couple of things I did want to show you in the settings menu though is, for starters, in storage we have a new button up the top here for manage storage. This storage manager provides 2 options. One is smart storage, which is basically just an automated version of the option you have in Google Photos to free up space. It allows you to automatically remove photos and videos periodically from your device, so you don't have to be prompted to back them up and get them off your phone every now and then. So that's the automatic storage cleanup. And then there's another one called Free Up Space Now. This is basically just a manual version. You've still got access to photos and videos to clear up, but you can also choose to enable apps and download cleanup, which basically will populate this list every now and then with a bunch of downloads that you could potentially delete, as well as apps that maybe you're not using so much. And down the bottom here you'll get a quick tally of how much space you can free up if you do so. So the next thing I wanted to show you is a little bit further down. It's a new section called Moves, which you will have seen if you've been watching any of our Google coverage. Now, Moves is basically a bunch of gesture shortcuts. There's the familiar one for a double press of the power button to launch you straight to the camera app. Then there's of course the flip gesture that you would know from Motorola devices to switch between the front and rear facing camera, and then lift to check your phone, also known as ambient mode, where you pick up your phone and it will display your notifications on the lock screen. Of course, we're not going to get the fancy new parallax wallpaper effect that you see on the new Pixel phones, and the wallpaper picker on Android 7.1 on a traditional Nexus is much the same as it has always been, although Android 7.1 does have support for round icons. In the Android 7.1 version you'll find on Nexuses, you'll see that all of the icons are still of the old variety and not the circular ones you'll see on the Pixel. Of course, if you're willing to root your phone, then you can always install the Google Pixel launcher and get most of the features available on the Google Pixel phones, including access to the Google Assistant. So what else is new and what else is missing? Unfortunately, it looks like access to the System UI tuner has been removed in Android 7.1 on the Nexus. Now, if you long press on the settings icon up here, that'll just take you straight into the settings menu. It won't provide access to any of the customization options we had access to before. That also means that things like night mode and dark mode are not going to be making an appearance until potentially later on. You'll see here also that we're running Android 7.1.1, not just 7.1 alone, so that was a little bit of a surprise. Of course, you'll also see that nothing much has changed in the Easter egg. You still have access to the Nico Itsumi catching game, which is rather fun. And one other thing you'll notice here is that in the system updates up the top here, when you press that, you get a splash screen that just tells you that your system is up to date. It will actually check for an update at the time, but there's no longer that satisfying button to mash when updates start to roll out. So that's about it for the new stuff in Android 7.1 on the Nexus devices. There may be some additional Pixel features coming at a later point. There is one more developer preview planned for